Hi, this is Steve. Welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review. I am back with the build, the R2-D2. Now, this is a fantastic build, and the last time I posted a video on this was back about 2.5 years ago, where I stopped at issue 63. So 64 is this video, and I'm pleased to bring it to you. So remember, you can only get this from Fan Home at the moment. I purchased mine from Model Space or D'Agostini back in the day. So without further ado, let's get started.
R2-D2, Your Highness.
Welcome everyone, this is Steve, and welcome back to my return of the Star Wars Build Your Own R2-D2. Now this kit currently is available from Fan Home, and you can purchase your subscription there. I purchased mine originally from Model Space, or also known as D'Agostini, about 2.5 years ago, and I quit building it for whatever reason. Life definitely got in the way, and I stopped building it. So I'm going to continue the build, and I'm going to continue on issue 64. Now you can see a complete playlist of my videos up above right here. Click on that, you can go directly to the playlist, or I put a link down in the description below. So let's go ahead and look at 64. We'll look at the build instructions first. We'll look at the parts. I'll build it, everything, and then at the very end I'll show you the magazine. And as you can see here, we have a lot going on here. This is definitely the component checklist here that we're looking at first. All the parts that are included with this stage. Next here are all the parts we need to gather, and I'll show you those in detail here in a bit. Fitting the hinge panel. Quite a few steps involved just to fit that hinge panel, but it really isn't that bad. Then the next thing we do is we mate the dome to the under skeleton support. A lot going on there, and I'll show you exactly what I'm doing with that. Continuing on with that, got to modify this a little bit, and you'll see in the video coming up. Next is installing the electronics. So we have microphone, camera lens, and some of the other components. It seems like a lot, but very easy to do. It may be hard to show you on camera everything, but I'll do my best there. Again, that's how that looks. There's the camera mount. And there we go. Our dome will be completed there. We'll have other items that we'll need to assemble a little bit later. And let's go ahead and look at the parts. And issue 64 parts are right here. I'll take these out so we can get a closer look. And here's all the parts and screws included with that pack. We received a lot of different screws for this, and I will show you those screws as we go along. Plus we received these plastic type screws here. They could be made of Teflon or so, injected molded. And I'm going to replace those, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. And we received our hinged panel. That's what that looks like there. And the other part of the hinge. We did receive another part of a hinge in stage 1, and I'll show you the differences between those two, but I believe this one is an upgrade to that older hinge we received, and should work a lot better. Also received the Allen key. I call it a wrench, the Allen wrench, for these screws here. And here's the two hinges. The first hinge on the left is the one I received in stage 1, and the one right now in issue 64. The old one looks like that. There's no way to put a screw into it for a hinge, and there's no alignment pin for that. The newer and improved one allows you to put a screw all the way through it, and it has the alignment pin for that. Other than that, they are almost the same. And these are the plastic screws that they want you to support the inner skeleton to the outer shell. And I'm going to replace those with this set right here, and I'll put a link down below. You can find it in your Amazon store. But right here, these screws right here, these steel screws, show you that as compared to this. And you can see they're both internal wrenching still, and the new ones are a little bit longer, which is going to be helpful because you're not tightening them down all the way, but you're pushing them in enough to where it locks the outer shell onto the skeleton for the R2-D2. And here's all the parts we'll need for this stage, and I'll show you these in detail. I do not have the packing, but I really think it's kind of awkward using that, and I'm just going to use a nice soft towel to protect the dome. Here's the microphone, and we built that up in stage 18. In issue 63, I assembled the top disc, and we received the spacers in that issue also. In stage 1, we received the red and blue display lens, and there's actually two of them that kind of look the same. You want to go after this one, and if you noticed how the mounts look. Also, I wrote on mine, stage 1 blue and red, but that's how that looks. That's the one you want to use. Do not use the other one that's included. And of course the cover lens for that. Once again, that's from stage 1. Here's the logic function display, and this was assembled back in stage 22, and that's what that looks like there. Next is the LCD screen, and that was assembled back in stage 6, and that's how that looks there. And lastly is the lens for the camera, and we assembled that back in stage 9. Let's get started. Now let's go ahead and assemble the dome hinge panel, and that's going to go just like that. And you want to make sure that you insert the screw, the longest screw, on the correct side. All the way through. And just screw that down. It's threaded on the other side. That's good there. And that's how that looks. Bring over the dome. Mount that on there. Like I said, it does have that alignment pin. That's going to go straight down. 2.5 by 4 millimeter screws go into this. And the last one. That's how that looks. And the dome hinge should go right down on top of that. That looks great. Next, I'll take the microphone and insert that into that hole there, and it's simply just going to lay down on top until we get the dome in place. Go ahead and bring over the dome and insert that where it needs to go. That's lined up. And then we'll flip this over. Go ahead and cut these spacers off. Once it's fitted in place, make sure your door opens and closes. I'm going to go ahead and tape it down so it's out of the way. bring over the cover. On the cover there's a shorter screw, and that goes in this slot here. Help line that all in. Then we'll turn this over, and that right there is where the shorter tab was for that cover. It's 2x4 millimeter screw. Good there. These little covers, they're open bigger on one side compared to the other side. They're going to go inside those and get inserted. I'll install 5 2x6 millimeter flanged screws on those. And make sure they're all tight. That's what that looks like there. We'll turn this over and we'll check, make sure the flap works. Oh. So this fell out. And if I remember right, we never put screws into this, and it didn't require screws. The instructions back in stage 63 said to super glue it, and I must have forgot to do that. So a little bit of super glue onto these. Carefully, and that will do the trick. Let that dry. I want us to cut these off next, but like I said, I'm not going to use them. I'm going to be using the metal ones. Take the first M3 screw and put it in place. And this will help push that panel out, lock it in place. It's good there. And you can see here how that screw locks that panel in place. And put a screw in right here, and then these 2 4 places right here. I'll be right back. And now all 6 screws are in place. You can see that. Let's move on to installing the electronics. We're going to turn it all the way over to the other side. And you can see that mount bracket right there on the bottom. We're going to go up after that. We're going to take our lens, and it's going to notch in on the side there. Just like that. And our red and blue light is going to go in. Just like that. And we're going to put our self-tapping black 2x3 millimeter screws into this. And the last one. That's what that looks like there. And right there. Next, I'm going to install the logic function display right next to the red and blue lens. And it's going to mount down just like that with our wiring close to each other. And 2 more of those black self-tapping 6 millimeter screws go in. And the last one. That's good there. That's how that looks. And that's how that looks. Looks great. Going to install the LCD screen. It mounts just like that. We've got 2 screws that go into that. These are the 2.5 by 4 millimeter screws. And that's good there. Look at the display. And that's what the display looks like. Looks great. Next we put the lens for the camera in. And you'll notice there's a silver notch that goes toward the bottom of the dome. So it goes up in our case here. And we put those black self-tapping screws into this, the 6mm screws. That's good there. And that's what that looks like. I'll be right back. Now let's look at the articles in the magazine. As always, starting the part 3 of the second Death Star. Wonderful there. Now let's look at the articles in the magazine. Model Making Part 3, the second Death Star. And this is what I like about this magazine. They do have articles as such, dealing with models. The LR-57 Combat Retail Droid. And of course, the build part. And a preview of issue 65. I'll be right back. And that completes issue 64 of the Build Your Own R2-D2. I had a blast building this, attaching the outer shell to the inner skeleton, and the dome looks fantastic there. As far as the hinged panel on top, I had to leave those screws loose a little bit, and I locked them in with some Loctite, so that way this panel does open and close with no issues whatsoever. So I would recommend that if you're having problems, leave those screws a little bit loose, those mounting screws. But I had a blast building this, so I want to thank you all for tuning back in. It's been 2.5 years since I filmed a stage with this, and I'm enjoying this. So look for me to feature this on my channel at least once a week, a new stage. So there you go. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel, smash the like button, and remember, this is only available from FanHome. I purchased mine from DeAugustini Model Space. Happy modeling, everybody, and take care.